Sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
Um, there is a rule actually. Yes, and it is online. Yeah, there is a rule. Um, the rules is actually before we before starting the class, then I will call you up. Yeah. So if you don't respond my call, then I will consider you as absent, regardless whether you are already attend this class. Yeah. So please stand by for that. And then the call gonna be in any time. Could be, but before we start the session, or during the session, or maybe at the end of the session. Yeah. So please be firm with this rule. Yeah. Because even though I noticed that several of you actually, yeah, already what they call it, attend in this session, but when I call you, you don't respond it. So we will consider
Sir, sorry to cut you off. I'm not being called
okay.
yet.
Yes, there are still some absent. Is it clear for you? To Zalfa, Firdaus?
I'm
Yeah, Hilarious.
I'm here, sir. Present.
All right. So thank you, for attending this class. So allow me to what we call it discuss about the research method. Yeah, I believe that you already know what the research method is, but perhaps in our discipline in computer science, there is some characteristic that you need to know. So therefore, you must stick with this characteristic and also some other thing that we will discuss during this session, during this online session. Okay, get it? Yeah. So allow me to what we call um, sharing the material with you. Okay. Class, do you see the slide?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir, I can see your side.
Okay. Now, here's actually what we call it, the notion that we discuss in this for this subject in this semester. So we call that one as a research method in computer science. First, we see about the definition about the research method. What is actually research method? You could see from the slide actually, it will be defined as a systematic approach that can be used for identifying, investigating, analyzing, solving the problem, or answering the question scientifically. So the keyword for this is actually, it is a systematic approach. Why do we need to do this? We do this for scientifically, identify, investigate, analyze, solve, or answer the question. Now, especially in computer science, this one gonna be used for what we call it will provide what you call this, what this method, this method will provide the basic structures, the basic structure or the basic thing for developing first new algorithm, the software system, the hardware architecture, the security mechanism, artificial intelligence models, network protocol, database, cutting edge technology, and so on. So there will be some specific, what we call it, basic approach, basic method, fundamental in computer science, for doing the research. So the research will involve in, let's say, the new algorithm, or you're gonna develop some software, let's say, or the application, or you're gonna design, let's say, some kinds of the hardware. Even though for us, hardware perhaps is actually quite strange, because we don't deal or drill down a bit detail in this one, in this kinds of field actually. However, perhaps that you know already, especially for those of you who already choose the, what we call it, concentration, you might also know and learn about security mechanism, the artificial intelligence, and some kinds of that you already learned in, what we call it, computer network and computer network and security, and some basic courses. Yeah. Now here, in computer science, there are two big, there are two main themes, of the research method. The first is actually what we call scientific investigation. Yeah. The idea for this is actually we will try to understand about certain phenomena. If there is some, what we call it, strange event happen in the computer science field, then we try to investigate, we try to understand why this one is happening. Yeah, and then how do we, what we call it, analyze it, and then how do we deal with that one? Yeah, this is actually usually these kinds of activity will be for something that is actually new. Yeah, something that is actually, because this one is actually, this phenomena happen because of certain activity that we have done before, or some computer scientists done it before. And then the second is actually engineering design. Yeah, in this case, it's actually we try to create and evaluate some kinds of artifact. Artifact means that something that somebody already done it. Yeah, this. Yeah, we could also say, in the popular what we call it? Yeah, in the popular name, we could say that one as a reverse engineering. Yeah, reverse engineering. So this one is in computer science. Yeah, there are two things. Something that actually happened, currently happened, then it never been what we call it exist before. Then we could say that one is scientific investigation. Actually. Yeah, and then the second one is actually we try to create and evaluate something that already done by people before. Okay. Up to this point, any questions? Hello.
No questions, sir.
Okay. Good. So you have to what? You have to deal with this one. So the research method later on, the ultimate goal is actually you may see about. Yeah, actually we try to our best. We try our best that actually to link between this, what we call it, this objective and outcomes. Yeah, the learning outcomes of this one with your, let's say, capstone. And then you have to what? You have to try to see, which one that actually falls to this. Either it is scientific investigation or it is engineering design. Let's say, allow me to, what we call it, ask to you, Ahmed, are you here? Are you with me, Ahmed?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Yeah. So, what is your capstone actually?
My capstone is making a game to two-dimensional about cybersecurity awareness, sir.
Okay. So, in this case, actually, will it be in scientific investigation or engineering design?
It, I think for my capstone, it will be engineering design, sir.
Yeah. Actually, this one. Yeah, engineering design, because you have to creating and evaluating something that already done, but you have to make some kinds of improvement, right? Actually.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. While phenomena is actually something that actually emerge, but we don't understand about these kinds of these phenomena. So it is related to the knowledge. Actually. Get it? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Now, since the research method is actually in our field, then there will be some characteristics of research method in computer science. Yeah, some of them also happen in the other field. Let's say in engineering, in social science. Let's say, but there is some specific characteristic that only for the computer science. Yeah, let's say I will show you maybe later on. Yeah, in the third point about what about that one. Yeah, about the characteristics of research method. Yeah, in the computer science. But let us see the characteristics of research method in general and characteristic in the computer science later. Now here, the characteristic. Look at that one. The first is actually what? The first is the characteristics of research method is it must be systematic. Yeah, it must be systematic. What does it mean, systematic? So this research, will consist of what we call, certain, well-defined sequence of activity. Yeah, such as we will identify the problem. Yeah, to understand about the problem, we'll need to what we need to what we call it, do some literature study, let's say. Yeah, and then to what we call it, to address the issue or the problem that we try to find. Yeah, the what we call it, a sets of what solution. Yeah, sets of solution, and then we choose. Yeah, the best, quote unquote, the best solution, for this problem, let's say. Of course, when we choose the best solution, means that based on what? Based on particular parameter. I believe that in capstone, that you already do it actually. Yeah, in here. To design the solution, yeah, design the solution, and what? We implement the solution into real means that you have to write, let's say, if this relates to the application, then you have to, what we call it, implement it into real by creating the coding or developing the code. And then, what after that, we evaluate the performance of the system that we define or we develop. And after that, we, what we call it, we try to get the conclusion, from the performance. Of course, to evaluate the performance means, Okay, so this is what we mean as a systematic. Yeah, so the first characteristics of research method is actually what? It must be systematic. Means that it follows what? It follows some sequence, well-defined, activities. The second one is actually objective. Yeah, objective. It means that it achieve certain goal. It achieves certain goal. It will fulfill some parameters, the criteria that we already mentioned. We already set up. So we will use in this case well-defined measurement. This measurement could be called as a metric or the parameter, or even sometimes as a goal. No, it is a bit different than, look at this one. The example. Let's say if we have to, the example in this case, if we have to algorithm, and then we do some comparisons of this one, then the conclusion that we could say that algorithm A runs faster than the other algorithm. Then this conclusion must be based on some kinds of measurement. So the conclusion can be objective. That's going to be just this. What will be the measurement? The measurement could be what in this case? The execution time, let's say. The execution time in this case. What else? The memory use. How much the memory is actually used in this case. And then, let's say what? The CPU utilization. So, if you compare between one algorithm and the other algorithm based on these three parameters, then you could say that our research is actually quite objective because it follows some parameters or criteria. Now, the third one, as I told you, is only for the computer science. It is called, it can be reproducible. It can be repeated. So this research can be repeated, and it will produce if the other people do the same experiment, the same research, with strict criteria that we already set up, perhaps it will produce the same result. So this is actually the characteristic of the computer science, in research methodology or research method. So therefore, to have this characteristic, there will be some kinds of requirement. What will be the requirement? We must give what we call detailed, clear methodology, well documented about the methodology. So therefore, this is why we need to learn about research method. The second one is about the data side, because in computer science, the research must be based on the data, and then we must give a clear, well-defined description about the data. We name that one as a data set description. And then we need also to give what they call it, the experimental requirement. We name that one as a setting. In your caption, perhaps there will be what we call system requirement, there will be hardware requirement, there will be user requirement, let's say, before we do this experiment. Before we convey the research. And then, if the research include the source code, then you have to make the source code available. Not only available, but there will be what we call well-documented source code. Because the source code can be easily understood. What can be easily understood? We could easily understand if there is some documentation about the source code. So these are, and lastly is actually Yeah, about this one, about the characteristics of the research method is empirical. So empirical means that, yeah, the research must be based on observation and evidence. Yeah, I repeat, yeah, the third what characteristics of research method is actually empirical. Means that, yeah, we have to perform observation and we have to show the evidence of that. From this observation and evidence, then perhaps we will get the data. And then we could analyze the data, and then we will conclude. So this is what we call as empirical. Okay. So, class, how many characteristics we have?
4, sir.
What are they?
Systematic, objective, reproducible, and empirical.
Okay. Okay. Right. Now here, there are several types of the research method in, especially research. Yeah, research in this one in the computer science, not the method. Yeah, research. There are several types of research in computer science. Look at this one. The first one is what we call basic research. Yeah. What do we mean as a basic research in this case? Somebody? Basic research means that the research will focus on generating new knowledge. Yeah. Without seeing, yeah, the impacts of this new knowledge into the practical thing. Yeah. Without seeing, without what we call it, considering the impacts of this new knowledge into the practical thing. Of course, what we need to have, what we call it, yeah, our intention that perhaps that this new knowledge will improve, yeah, several implementation, which give a benefits to us, to the human race. But here, since it is basic research, then, yeah, we don't even see about the impacts of this generating new knowledge, yeah, into the practical. Yeah. No, what is actually the examples of basic research? Yeah, there are, yeah, the slide show about this. What are they? Is actually what in here? Computational complexity theorem. Yeah, so what we see is actually about the complexities of the computational. Yeah, I think that we already learned this here in DSA, especially for this article. Yeah. Yeah. What do we call? Time complexity. But remember, yeah, time complexity is not only the what we call it, not only the thing that we discuss in computer science. There are several what we call space complexity and some other ones. Yeah. The second one is automata theory. Yeah. This could be categorized as basic, very basic in what we call computer science, because all computation will be based on this one. Yeah, automatic theory. And then the next examples of what we call basic research is actually, this is a new one. Yeah, in the last 5 or 6 years before, yeah, we already we already learned this one, quantum algorithms, quantum computation. So it is not based on binary platform, it will be based on the quantum physics actually. It will be based on the probability, yeah, the probabilities of certain states of what we call atom or parts of the atom. This is actually the quantity. Or we could also see about some mathematical point of view relates to the cryptography. Yeah, it is about how robust that some algorithm, some cryptography algorithm will be based on mathematical model, right? Yeah. So this is the example. These are the examples to what we call basic research. So what will be the outputs of this basic research? Yeah, there are several types of the outputs of what we call it basic research. First is actually we will have the new theorem. Yeah, this basic research will produce perhaps the new theorem or some mathematical proof. Yeah, some mathematical or some new computational model. So this relates to the what we call it how fast that this computational actually will be done. Yeah. So this is the first one. The second one is actually applied research. Yeah, I believe that most of your capstone will be on these types of research. Yeah, applied research. And then in this research, we focus on solving practical problems. Yeah, solving the practical problem. The examples of the problem is actually what? Malware detection and how we develop what? Smart city, let's say. Yeah, so what this smart city will use what we call it IoT in such a way that it can be controlled very efficient and very fast. Or there will be some applications of computer science in the whole science. Yeah. Or let's say in here, the blockchain security, let's say. Yeah. And the output for this what applied research gonna be first, some practical solution. Yeah. Remember, the practical solution could be will be computer based, or this is just only we call it a set of algorithm, let's say. Yeah. And then the second one is actually could be improved system. So some system can be improved, by using this type of research and also the new application. Yes, new application. Now this is this is the second one. The third one is actually experimental research. Yeah. So we will conduct the experiment, based on some certain and what control condition. Let me give you the simplest examples of this experimental research. It's actually what? Scheduling algorithm comparison. Yeah. So you have to do some comparisons of the scheduling algorithm, scheduling model. Let's say FCFS, SJF, round robin, and some other algorithm. And then to do this comparison, perhaps there must be some kinds of metrics, some kinds of parameters to be used. Yeah, to do some comparison and then to analyze which one is actually quote unquote the best. Yeah. The example for this is actually, still remember, waiting time, TAT, and throughput. By the way, what is TAT? Class? Hello. What is TAT? Hello, class.
Around time, sir.
What does it mean?
The duration that we
I'm sorry, I forgot the explanation. Sir.
So please, what please review, yeah. Again.
Is it thematic appreciation test?
Sorry,
Is it termination appreciation test? That stands for the TAP?
well, no. First is the what the standards of TAT. What is TAT? And the meanings of TAT. Hasan, I do not hear your voice clearly.
My apologies. I mean, the public says thematic appreciation test.
Now, what is
Am
TAT?
I?
What is TAT?
It is a projective physiological test, and it got to.
No, TAT actually what relates to the scheduling algorithm, which I believe we already learned in certain subject lengths. Okay, all right, let's move on. Yeah. So the next one, the next types of research is actually we call that one as a design science research or DSR. Yeah. So in this case, we try to create and evaluate some artifacts. I mentioned already the definitions of artifact in this case. The examples of artifacts is actually, let's say, what? The algorithm, the framework, the architectures, yeah, the model, application, security protocol, so on and so forth. Yeah. No, there is some specific thing relates to these types of research. Yeah, there is a cycle of this research. First, we find the problem. Yeah, and then we design how to solve that problem, and then after that, we what make it this one, this design into real. Then we evaluate it, and if there is something that we could improve, then we will refine it. Yeah, I believe that we already learned this one. Yeah, this thing when you discuss about ITPM or something. Yeah. Now the last one is actually simulation based research. So these kinds of research can be done if the real experiments is expensive and yeah, quite difficult. Yeah, quite difficult to be what to be conducted. Yeah, the example for that is actually, let's say, network routing protocol. Of course, you cannot do this one in the real situation. Why? Because if you implement this in the real situation, then yeah, your computer network will be chaos. Yeah, the communication between computer will be chaos. So therefore, you have to create some kinds of simulation. It works only at a certain domain, and then we try to do it in the certain domain without interfering and harming the remaining network actually. Yeah. And then the other examples of these kinds of research is actually wireless sensor network. Yeah, so we try to design several sensors, and then we try to connect to make a material interconnection between these kinds of sensors. Yeah, this is a part of IoT actually. Or in this case, there will be what we call it traffic system in the smart city, let's say.
Mm.
So definitely, if you do that one in the real situation, yeah, then it will produce a chaos. Actually. So therefore, you have to create what we call as a simulation, and then these kinds of research, yeah, these kinds of activity, these kinds of what we call it scientific. class? Any question, class?
Sorry, sir, we can hear your voice.
Could you hear? Is it okay now? Is it okay now? Hello, class.
Hello, sir. Your voice is too low and unclear.
Could you hear now? Could you hear now?
Still unclear, sir.
Reaksi kimia di dalam dada.
Hello.
Take my hand and don't let go. Jangan takut akan jarak. Ada saatnya ku kan jiwa curiga. Tak akan ada. I know I'm not perfect, but you look so sama cari. Girl, I love you more
Any
than
question?
No question, sir.
Okay. Now, let us continue about the research here. So there are two paradigms of the research in general actually. The first one is going to be called as a quantitative research. So it will be based on what we call it, the data, especially the numerical data. Yeah. So we will use let's say for this one, but for these kinds of research, we will use statistic analysis, and we what we call it, we test some kinds of premise or hypothesis. Yeah. So in here, for example, for the example of these what kinds of quantitative research, yeah, let's say we try to achieve the accuracies of the accuracies of the system, the system, yeah,
Sorry, I barely hear you, sir.
95, 95, 98%. Sorry,
I cannot hear you. Sorry, sir. Your voice is not clear, sir.
no, hello, did you hear it?
Hello, class.
Hello, sir. Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. No,
Yeah. Yeah, no. Hello,
could you hear now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hogan now.
Not really. Your voice is too small.
Hogan.
Still not clear.
So, hello.
So, in here, yeah. So, as I told you, that in research, there are two paradigms. The first one is quantitative research. Yeah, it will be based on the numerical data. Yeah, let's say regarding to the one that I mentioned before. Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, the accuracies of this research will achieve, let's say 98%. Let's say 98% of the 100%. So it means that it is quite good. Or that one relates to the throughput. Yeah, the throughput, it relates, let's say, whenever we discuss about what we call the communication, the throughput. Yeah, the throughput of the communication means that the bandwidth, let's say, the bandwidth for the network communication, let's say, perhaps that, or the CPU usage, let's say. Yeah. So this research, as I already mentioned, will use a kinds of several tools. At least there are two tools actually. Yeah. The method for this is actually, yeah, means that the method, yeah, first we are using statistical analysis, and then from this statistical analysis, then we try to test our premise, our hypothesis. Yeah. No, and then for this research, quantitative research, then there are several applications that can be used or tools that can be used. Yeah. Yeah, in mathematics, perhaps we could use SPSS, let's say, for the statistical. Yeah. And then for decoding, perhaps that we could use any programming language, such as the one that actually well known currently, Python. We could also use Java and some other what programming language. Guys, could you still hear my voice?
Yes, sir. We can hear you clearly now.
Okay.
Yes.
Now here they are the second paradigms of the research is actually qualitative research. Yeah. Qualitative research means that yeah, we're gonna use what? We're gonna use some kinds of the perceptions of the human behavior. Yeah. For examples of these qualitative is actually about user experience. Yeah. Software engineering practices, let's say. Yeah. How good that our software is actually yeah. Oh, good and benefits that our developing software. Yeah. We develop the software for that. And then yeah, how good that we adopt the technology, let's say. So this is about the perceptions of the human, yeah, regarding to this research. Yeah. So this research usually use several methods, such as the interviews, yeah, or the focus group, or some observation. But I believe that for our capstone, yeah, we will use these two types of research, either what qualitative and quantitative method. Okay. Up to this point, any question, guys?
So far, no question, sir.
Okay. Now, let's see about the process of the research. Yeah. There are several
Pardon me,
steps.
sir.
Sorry?
You still haven't shared the PowerPoint. Share screen the PowerPoint.
Not yet. Yeah, not yet.
Yeah.
Because for these issues that haven't finished doing that thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I just dictated. Yeah. Now, as I mentioned already, that yeah, the research must be systematic. Then we try to see about this one. Yeah. So in computer science, yeah, the research process will include several steps. The first one is actually what? Problem identification. Yeah. In this case, we try to find out the problem. Yeah. Yeah. The example. Yeah, the example. Yeah, let's say we know that actually, let's say some system, some organization use the encryption. Yeah, use some security method. In this case, it's actually encryption. And then the encryption system that they use is actually vulnerable. Vulnerable from what? Vulnerable from the quantum attacks, let's say. Because as we know that even though we claim that our security algorithm, yeah, is quite robust in digital devices, yeah, in digital devices. But when we put our security algorithm into quantum environment, quantum model, then this computer, the quantum computer, could solve it in terms of seconds. While in what binary or the current computer, yeah, this method can be break out, can be break on in a year. But in quantum domain, quantum computer, yeah, our security method can be break out, can be broken out, into only in second. Yeah. Now here in this case, let's say, how could how could we improve the encryption method in such a way that it is also robust in the quantum environment, computing, quantum computing environment, let's say. Yeah, perhaps in this case we could use, let's say, one way is actually, secret sharing scheme, let's say, to implement secret sharing scheme, to improve what we call it, the robustness of the system. So the first step in the research is actually finding the identifying the, I believe that your capstones is already know since the beginning in F1 you already identify the problem, right? Even you already provide not only the identifying the problem but also what specifying or providing sets of the solution. Yeah. And then the second one is actually literature review. Again, your capstone actually also provide this one. Yeah. So here, what we need to do is actually we try to see about the existing fundamental that can be used, to to address the problem, to address the issues. Yeah. So the objectives of this step, doing the literature reviews is actually understand the current knowledge, especially the knowledge relates to the problem. The second one is actually try to fill out the gap. Yeah. And then we see about the minimizing the duplication or redundancy regarding to. Yeah. The third one is actually, as I told you, in the research, what in the literature review, we need to find the research gap identification. Yeah, research gap in the identification. So here you need to what they call it? You need to see and identify about the gaps of the research. Let's say for this problem, there are already several research. There are many, but there are already several sets of research. However, still, the problems actually still happen in this case. So means that this is what it means that this one produce what we call research gap. Yeah. Yeah. Now, after you find the research gap, the gaps relates to the research, then you need to find what we call research objective. So means that, what is actually the goals, by doing this research actually. By doing the research for this one. Yeah. No, there is some specific objective in this case. Perhaps, in here. Let's say, we could design the new scheme. We try to analyze the solution, and then we see the measurements of the system. Yeah, I means that the performance measurement actually in this case, and we try to compare between the current, the suppose what we call it, proposed model with the existing one. Yeah. Yeah. And then the next steps is actually research question. There are several. You have to make a list of question relates to the objective or the research that you wanna conduct. Yeah, you wanna conduct. That's it. Yeah. And I believe that in your capstone you already provide these kinds of. And then after you have after making the list of question or research question, then you have to do what we call yeah, hypothesis formulation. How do you address this gap? How do you address this gap? Through by answering the question.
Terima kasih.
Udah siap belum?
By answering the question. It is actually the ideas of what we call doing. Yeah, and step number 7 is actually you have to design the research. We name that one as a research design. How your research will be conducted. Yeah. How your research will be conducted. Yeah. So there is some thing that you need to particularly take account in the computer science research. Yeah, about the components of the research design. First, yeah, from which source that you will get the data actually. So it is about the data source. Yeah, please pay attention on this and take a note if it is possible. Yeah, regarding to this, the components of research design. Yeah, there are several components that you have to use. First is the data source. And then you have to make sure that the source of this data is actually well established and well managed and also well known. It is valid actually. Yeah. The second one is actually the tools that you use here to conduct the research. If your research relates to developing the application, then you have to mention, you have to specify the tools. Yeah. And then you have also to specify the environment. Yeah, the environment. The environment actually, what we call in this case is the environment. The environment where the research will be conducted. Yeah. And you have to specify the parameters and the variables. Lastly, you have to specify the criteria for evaluation. Yeah. Okay. Class? Any question? Hello, class.
So far, no question, sir.
Okay. No, here. Okay, actually, I have a question, actually. Remember, yeah? So, what we discussed first is actually about research method, right? Yeah, we pinpoint about the research. While capstone, in the other way around, is actually something that actually about system development, right? Hello, class.
Coba tanya sebelah ya.
Yes, sir.
Now, I will give you the assignment.
Tahu lagi Pak. Bukan saya yang pesan, so saya
Identify
lagi
the
kelas.
similarity yeah, between
Iya lagi.
research, the similarities and the difference between research and
Ayo Pak.
project development. Did you get it?
Sorry, sir, can you repeat that again?
Sorry,
Repeat that again, sir. I didn't catch that.
I don't get your point. Sorry, would you please make it clear? Do you understand? Do you understand what the assignment? Hello, class.
I understand, sir.
Okay.
Not quite get it, sir. Just, what's the assignment?
Um, Hassan, your voice is actually quite blurry. Yeah? I cannot hear. I cannot understand. Yeah, the points of your voice. Yeah, let me. Oh, Willy both already what we call it. Type the assignment, yeah, through the message, yeah, in call message. Yeah. Identify the similarities. Similarity means only one point, yeah. But perhaps that there are several points of similarity. Yeah, so identify the similarities and differences between research and project development. Yeah, because your capstone is actually about project development, but our discussions is actually about research. So you have to identify, yeah, the similarities as well as and then the difference about this one. So later on, from this understanding, then we could write some kinds of what we call it paper regarding to your capstone, because paper, but the products of the research is actually the publishment. In this case, it's actually paper. Yeah, for that. We will see about that one later on, yeah, about how do we write a good paper, yeah, in this case later on, the next time. Okay, get it, class?
Got it, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
get it.
so any question, any other question, let's say?
Currently, no question.
So before we dismiss, perhaps you may open your what webcam, yeah. Thank you, Willy Bo. Others perhaps open the webcam. Please.
Yes, sir.